Something good. Oh, something good. Oh, something good tonight. Made me forget about you for now. To get high, hit the floor before you go. But something good, oh something good, oh something good, oh something good tonight.
I am so wrecked after staying up all night. I could use my rewind to catch a few more Z's, but maybe I better save my strength.
48,000 seeds, bleeds and rolls, my memories of you. Now that I'm fully clean, the matadors no more distract from you.
No amount of rewind will keep me clean. I still need a shower. This totally reminds me of being a kid in my room. I am so not a rebel. I always like my bed to be neat and tidy. Thanks, Mom.
Hello everyone, salam to Muslims and some others. This is Muslim Relapsing Gamer, and my opinions are my own. I do not represent Islam as a belief system or Muslims in general. I only represent myself. My opinions are personal, obvious but necessary. And this is episode 2 of Life is Strange. Let's see what this game and this episode has in store for us.
The Max Caulfield Photo Memorial Wall.
Whoa. That is a lot of text that I don't know, I don't remember from the first episode at least. $7:30 a.m. I mean, these two girls are waking up early, aren't they? Mom. Don't drown it either.
Even
Right.
with all this crazy shit going on, it is so cool having Chloe back in my life again. Like no time has passed.
Alright, let's water the plant before we forget, because this has consequences.
Good morning, Lisa. Your leaves are lovely today. I may not have a green thumb, but I have a green finger. Drink up. It's got electrolytes.
Electrolytes. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
This picture will capture this crazy historic moment in my life. No smiling. Take your power seriously.
Seriously?
This picture will capture this crazy historic moment in my life. Whew. I could get lost doing time travel research. Warren is blowing up my inbox now. As long as he helps me figure this out.
Weird request. Where is the weird request? Come on, man. There was no weird request from the first episode. She was about to tell him, about her power, but they were interrupted by Mr. Douchebag. What was his face? Can't remember. Man, I don't know. Well, I don't know about Pulp Fiction, obviously. Almost everybody does, but these others, I don't think I know any of them. Sounds interesting time after time. How come I don't know any of these? Big cult around this romantic sci-fi. Romantic sci-fi. I love that, but how come? Yeah, well, it's a chick flick, but still. I am playing a game that's kind of like an interactive chick flick. That sounds interesting. Seriously? Time Cop. Yeah, I think I know this one. This one is ancient, man, and I watched it like a long time, many years ago, so I cannot remember anything. Jean-Claude Van Damme does the splits on the kitchen counter in his underwear. Need I say more?
This is so insane, it sounds logical to me.
come on. Do people really take this seriously? Time travel? Like from a scientific perspective? They try to talk about it and all that? I mean, I guess they take creating so-called self-aware AI like a scientific possibility too. They even say they're almost there, but you know, when you read like scientific history or the history of science, you find a lot of absurd claims, you know, made 100 years ago, 50 years ago. You read all sorts of pretty much funny stuff, you know. So, yeah. Quote scientists, unquote, 50 years ago, you know, thought they will do lots of, you know, crazy things and stuff. And here we are. We can't even produce a cell phone, a mobile, yeah, that has a battery that's good enough for it, you know. This is how quote advanced, you know, unquote, we are. We can't even produce cell phones that have batteries that can keep up with them. You buy the cell phone today, and 3 months after you buy it, your battery pretty much never ever lasts more than 7 hours or something like that, you know, unless you're not using it at all and you're turning the internet off. But if you turn, you know, the internet on and you do use it, yeah, it's just a few hours and poof, it's gone. You gotta be carrying around one of those mobile chargers or whatever they're called. So yeah, humans are just arrogant, really. Generally speaking, they overestimate their abilities and what they will do and where they will end up. And so yeah, and that's why they take creating the AI with consciousness, self-awareness and all that, you know, jazz. They take it seriously and they talk about it scientifically, and they say all those fancy complex things to you to convince you that it's really out there. We're almost there, you know. We're gonna achieve it like next year or in 5 years. Yeah, we're gonna do it. And then 5 years pass and people forget that some crazy person was making those claims just not so long ago. And same thing like here, time travel. I don't know if this is true. Nations around the world really have spent literally billions, really, of dollars trying to build in top secret their own version of a time machine. Is that true? I mean, is there like some sort of secret research? I mean, I can believe that there would be some sort of secret research out there, and there is a whistleblower who kind of, you know, told on them and stuff. But is it true that did someone ever come out and say that, you know, their government is investing billions of dollars to develop a time machine? It's just ridiculous, man, thinking that you can really travel through time and stuff. It's absurd, you know, for someone to take it scientifically, like seriously from a scientific perspective. It's truly absurd, because you know, the only thing you got to think about is that if it's true, if there is any possibility from a scientific perspective to travel through time, then, you know, why haven't we seen someone? Why haven't we seen lots of people who have done this? We should have seen lots of people. You could say, oh, it's hidden by the government, or, you know, they're afraid to come out because of, yeah, what they said here. But come on, if it becomes something accessible at one point, surely one person at least will, you know, show up from the future or whatever in today's world, or they would have showed up already and declare that they come from the future and they tell us what's going to happen and things like that. But you know, it's never happened, and it will never happen, I believe, because just time is just not that sort of dimension. You know, it is one of the dimensions we have in our universe. So we have several dimensions, actually, not just 4. There is the 3D, the 3-dimensional, you know, the spatial three dimensions that we live in, and then there is the time dimension. But then, according to the string theory, we have 6 more dimensions, and then that was developed to the M theory, and M theory says there's actually 7 more dimensions for a total of 11, I believe, if my memory isn't. I mean, it's been a while since I read about all these things, but it's either, the number is either 10 or 11, the total. So we have so many dimensions that we can't actually see, and this is not metaphysics. This is not, some people think this is science fiction or metaphysics. It's not. This is actually physics. You know, it is science. You know, the M theory and those dimensions, that we have 6 other dimensions or 7 extra dimensions other than the 3 dimensions of space and time. So we have this, you know, yeah. But time isn't that sort of dimension that you can go back and forth in. It's you know, it's sometimes described in some books as the arrow of time, as the arrow. It's an arrow. It's like, it's not what's the word? It's not like a lion that you can go back and forth on. It's an arrow. And it, like, from, I don't know, from the moment of the Big Bang, or maybe even before. I mean, science obviously cannot, we can never hope to understand anything beyond the Big Bang, because obviously the laws of physics and chemistry and dimensions even imagine we say that we have 10 or 11 dimensions, or M theory says that we have 10 or 11 dimensions in our universe, but then if you imagine getting out of this universe, so before the Big Bang or outside the known universe, obviously the laws of physics will change, the laws of chemistry will change, the dimensions will change. So it's like, it is unimaginable, literally unimaginable. You could disintegrate if you get out of, you know, the universe, because, as I said, the laws of physics change, the vibrations, the very energy changes. So you could literally disintegrate if you get out of the universe, for example, or you could not see anything at all. I mean, we have 6 or 7 dimensions that we do not see, that we are absolutely not aware of. Our equipment cannot measure yet. We don't know anything about, you know. So imagine getting out of the universe. Our equipment will never be able to detect anything, measure anything, or it can simply disintegrate, because it's another level of existence. So if we're talking about before the universe, we actually have no way of knowing whether time as a dimension is specific to our universe or it's from before the universe. Because, as for all we know, time could have existed before the universe. But some scientists say that, you know, it started from the universe. It's like the Big Bang shot an arrow. So just like the Big Bang has exploded or has sent forth an unimaginable amount of energy, and the explosion was so powerful so as to, you know, create the universe, or create quite a huge chunk of the universe, and then with time it started to expand and become the universe that we know today. It also shot forth not just matter and energy and all that, but it also shot forth an arrow, and that arrow is the arrow of time. And that arrow is moving in one direction. It will never change directions, and it will never stop, and it will never be reversed, if you see what I mean. So this is like some people's idea, or some scientists' idea of time. But for all we know, this dimension of time could actually exist outside the universe. For all we know, it could exist outside the universe, as in it could have started before the Big Bang. Imagine this. And that's the thing, we have no idea of confirming this. We will never be able to confirm this, as I said, because we're talking about another level of existence. So yeah, we can't hope to even know this, but what we do know is that it is like an arrow. It moves in a specific direction, it will never be reversed, and it will never change directions. It's just what it is, time. That's how it is. So yeah, thinking about traveling within time, it's I don't know what to say. I mean, I don't want to say it's not even science fiction. It is science fiction, but I believe that it is science fiction because of ignorance, because of people's ignorance of it. And even though I do enjoy a good time travel movie or two, and I am enjoying this game to an extent. Yes, but this is because I do suspend my, just like we suspend our disbelief to create immersion, to really kind of be engrossed by, to be absorbed by a game or by a movie. What I'm doing is I'm also suspending my understanding of time, my my little scientific background of the dimensions of our universe and time itself and stuff. I'm suspending this knowledge, just like I would suspend a disbelief, so I can enjoy the game. But in reality, the concept is just so unimaginable. It is so impossible that speaking about it as a scientific possibility is it's just another level of absurdity. Really, it is really absurd to think that you can one day have the technology to move through time. You are talking about a dimension, as I said, that is it's very, very possible that it exists outside our freaking universe, outside our physics, our chemistry, our dimensions. I don't know if anyone can understand this, can kind of imagine it in their mind. If you can understand what energy is, or at least imagine what energy is, imagine the requirements for our existence. Imagine the requirements for our body, our flesh and blood, our cells, our skin. As I said, this liquid inside our bodies that is called blood. In order for it to remain as it is, as like blood, what kind of pressure should we have? What kind of energy? What kind of temperature? What kind of wavelengths and atoms, like the atomic structure itself, what kind of atomic structure is required for our body to exist and for our blood to stay as it is, for our cells and flesh and skin and all these things, and our bones to stay as they are. What kind of atomic structure? Now imagine that you are getting outside this universe. Now imagine if you're getting outside this universe. We are talking about another level of existence, another atomic structure, and maybe atoms don't even exist. In these other, like if the so-called multiverse theory is true, if there is more than one universe, then it is very feasible that there are no atoms in these other universes, or outside our known universe. Maybe there aren't atoms. There is another sort of structure, another way of, another level of existence, another kind or type of existence. So and now when you think about it, if time is something that started before the Big Bang, then time is a dimension that is external, that is independent of our universe and external to our universe. And if it is so, then there is absolutely no hope, no hope, no hope. No matter what level of technology you achieve, there's just no hope that you can ever move within it. Simply because, as I said, it's another level of existence. No matter how technologically advanced we become as a race, we will always have to obey the chemical structure of our own bodies, the atomic structure of the universe itself, the laws of physics of our universe itself, and so on and so forth. We have certain laws that we will always have to obey. No matter how advanced we become, we will always have to obey. So when you take out this vibration, this level of energy, this wavelength, this certain wavelength of existence, if you take it out and you replace it with a completely different type of existence, completely different physics and chemistry and so on, your technology is just not going to work. No matter how advanced it is, it's just not going to work. So when you think about it this way, it's just time, traveling within time is absurd. But we play games, we watch movies about it, and we try to forget about this just to have fun a little bit. It's a nice thought to have, that there is this possibility. But yeah, from a scientific perspective, I do hope that most real scientists will one day understand just how absurd thinking about it is, or investing a single cent or a single penny on this. They should they should realize just how absurd it would be. But anyway, now that I'm done with sharing my thoughts about time travel and other stuff, other related stuff, let's continue with the game and reading about this article that is trying to convince us that there is any scientific hope in the concept of time travel. Yeah.
This wormhole thing makes total sense, but doesn't explain how I can do what no scientist ever has.
I think I understand, now that they are mentioning the wormhole, I think I understand why some people, including perhaps scientists, think that time travel is possible. Time travel in the conventional sense, as I said, it is an absurd concept. It will never be a reality. It will never happen. It just simply won't happen in the conventional sense of moving back and forth within time. However, one thing is possible, and especially if they're referring to Einstein's theory of relativity and they're referring to wormholes. What's possible is that theoretically speaking, not practically, but as I said, theoretically speaking, you put someone in some sort of spaceship or in some sort of time machine. Let's call it a time machine, yeah? And what this spaceship or time machine does is it travels at a speed that is either at the speed of light or slightly faster. Somehow, as I said, theoretically speaking, it travels faster than the speed of light. Okay? So the person who is inside this time machine or inside this spaceship takes it and travels for, let's say, 1 year or something like this. And they travel at a speed that is close to the speed of light, or, as I said, a bit faster. And then they travel somewhere, and then they return to Earth after a year, after this year passes. What would happen then is that there's a person inside this spaceship, this year that passed for them, it basically becomes a sort of a separate timeline. It becomes its own timeline, completely separate from the timeline on Earth itself, the timeline for us here on our planet. According to how time is going, like how fast time is going for us. So what I'm saying is that they could either be basically older or younger. Again, it's been a while since I read about all these things, but what I'm trying to say is that that's the possibility. So for example, they could spend, as I said, these numbers are not accurate. I'm taking hypothetically speaking or theoretically speaking, and again giving just random examples, completely random numbers. This is not scientific in that accurate sense. But for example, what could happen is that this person is 1 year older by the time they are back on Earth, but everybody on Earth is, for example, 10 years older. So say that a guy who is 20 years old gets on this time machine or in this spaceship. This spaceship travels to whatever, some sort of planet or another galaxy at the speed of light, yeah? And it takes, well, not another galaxy maybe, because we're talking about like several million light years away, but somewhere they travel somewhere that is half a light year away from us, and they travel faster than light. So they go there, they spend half a year in the spaceship, and they come back to Earth, they land on Earth, and that's another half a year. So the whole trip takes a year. So that guy, by the time they are back, he's 21 years old. What can happen is that he can find his own brother, his brother was 15 years old when he left Earth, yeah? So he could find his own brother at 25 years old. So his brother would be 25 years old, and he, even though he used to be the big brother, he becomes the young brother because he's only 21 years old. So 1 year passes for him while 10 years pass for his brother who is on Earth. So because the first boy was on a spaceship or this time machine, only 1 year passes for him, whereas for the brother, it's 10 years pass on Earth. So someone can hear this and say, well, didn't you say that time travel is impossible? Well, what about what you're saying now? What I'm saying now, the answer is what I'm saying now does not contradict what I said a while ago. Time travel is, as I said, from a scientific perspective, is just absurd. It is on the level of absurd. It's not impossible. It's not scientifically, unreasonable. It is absurd. That's the level of impossibility that it has. But what I'm talking about right now is not time travel. Obviously, that should be obvious. What I'm talking about now is the relativity of time. That time is time relative. Yes, it can be relative, and its relativity is based on several factors, and one of those factors is the speed that we are traveling, or the speed that we are traveling through space, through the three-dimensional space at. So if we are traveling at the speed of light, or near the speed of light, or faster than the speed of light, if that is possible, then yes, then time starts. We start to twist things around in terms of our relation to time. So time is relative, but traveling within time, going back to the past and stuff like this, or going to the future, that's what I'm talking about. That is absurd, and that is never going to happen. We will never be able to travel back in time, go to the past, or travel into the future, or any of that. Sci-fi basically. Any of this science fiction is never going to happen. But relativity of time is a fact. Yes, this can occur. So time can pass quicker or faster for, as I said, for a person, depending on how fast they are moving within our three-dimensional space. So this is true. And this wormhole here, it's almost like a portal in the sense that I don't think maybe time is involved, but from my perspective, it's more like a way to move from a certain point in space. What I mean is the universe, a certain point in the universe to another point in the universe, and normally, it would take you like light years or something like that. It would take you several light years or millions of light years to move from this point to the other one. But like if you were outside, if you tried to move, for example, let's imagine that this is where the wormhole stopped, this square here. So if you're here somewhere outside this wormhole and you try to travel from this point to that point in a straight line, this would take you, say, 100 light years. But if you go through this wormhole, then it would take you like, not light years, it could take you literally just 1 year, like one earthly year, just 1 year. So if you're 20 years old, by the time you enter and when you get out, you are 21 years old, and that's it. But if you were to travel from outside the wormhole, you were literally, one dash. At just one dash, you would die. You already, if you're 21 years old, you're like, 90 years old by just before you even complete one dash, and you're dead, and that's it. You will never, make it to even 0.0001%. You won't cover even 0.0001% of the distance. But if you go through the wormhole, then it becomes this thing. That's what I mean, that basically time has a as a different level of existence within the wormhole. It's just it's about the relativity of time, that time is relative. So time would in relation to this wormhole is completely different from time in relation to the space outside, like the space here outside the wormhole. Time in relation to it is different from time in relation to it, and that's the concept of relativity of time. So this is why, you know, you get in here and you're 20 years old, you get out as 21 years old, but if you try to move, yeah, as I said, you would be 90, 100 or something like that even before completing any significant distance. So that's it. And this is not time travel, guys. I mean, I don't know why people take these concepts and twist them into, I guess they're trying to sell sci-fi, but I mean, I worry about this whole thing because it can confuse people. And I mean, if this is true, if countries are investing billions of dollars to produce a freaking time machine, I don't know what to say. I mean, it's such a waste. So, you know, why bother? Why talk about all this? Because I hope that people are not going to invest, you know, even $1 in the absurdity of time travel, or yeah, on not invest anything like that. So rather than invest even $1 on this absurdity, please invest it in healthcare. Please invest it in education, you know, for the poor, for the people who cannot afford university fees and stuff like that in today's world. Invest it in something worthwhile. Invest it in helping so many people who need help, rather than investing trillions of dollars on war and billions of dollars on something like this, you know, time travel. Please divert these funds and talk about these things. So this is why this is important, you know. This is why I'm talking about it in a gaming video or a gaming stream. I really don't think this is something intelligent or something worthy of a good person to be investing so much money and even time in something as absurd as time travel. Just understand it in the way that I described, that time is relative, and the relativity of time has absolutely nothing to do with time travel. They are completely different concepts. Time travel is a fictional concept, and as I said, trying to apply it in reality is absurd, literally, and relativity of time is a scientific fact. So they are completely two different concepts. And I don't know why, you know, Don't Nod, the game developer of Life is Strange, would take all this and, you know, kind of sell it to the gamer or to the person playing the game as if it's an actual possibility. But I guess I don't blame them. If we have scientists, quote unquote, who are talking about time travel as something possible, then I don't blame Don't Nod. I guess, you know, quote scientists unquote are saying it's possible and we're working on it. So who is Don't Nod to say no to that? I could say, who am I to say no to that? But, you know, I've read about this stuff, and as I said, I know enough to say that the relativity of time is a scientific fact which has absolutely nothing to do with time travel.
I would say this is some crazy shit, but now I'm not so certain. Should I sign?
Yeah, this is probably true. Yeah. See, I swear I have never played this game. I mean, I have never played this episode before. I swear. What did I say before click? When I was on this page before clicking next, what was I saying? You know, why was I talking about all this? It's because I felt like there's a waste of resources, a waste of money. If we're putting money into this absurdity, it's really a shame. You know, there are so many other more important things to put our money into. And then I click next, and lo and behold, you know, this article, the game itself, the game developers have added it. They're talking about it. physicists around the world. So as you read these words, physicists and scientists around the world are using taxpayer-funded government programs to shatter our notions of time and space, potentially altering the course of history itself. Really? Come on. For example, Australian researchers are using photons to simulate quantum particles as they travel through time itself. Even though quantum time mechanics is a very recent theory, first predicted in 1991, it has caught fire within the scientific community, who eliminated ethics and morality from the dangerous experiments. Probably, of course. and that's another thing. You know, you start getting so obsessed with absurd concepts, and you just set aside ethics and morality just to achieve what you're trying to achieve, and it's just weird, man. And also putting, as I said, taxes, spending your taxes on this absurdity, on creating a freaking time machine or whatever it is that they're trying to do. It's a shame. If this is actually happening in real life, I really don't know what to say, and I encourage you to not take my word for it. Go out there and read a bit more about this stuff, read more about the relativity of time, and think deeply and think critically about it, and try to compare it with the conventional concept of time travel, and you be the judge. Is it possible? Does it have anything to do with, does the relativity of time have anything to do with time travel? You know, I leave it up to you, but I encourage you to do your own research, because from my perspective, they are completely unrelated. They have nothing to do with each other, relativity of time and time travel. And I really hope that we are not spending tax money on this bullshit, and that we are not spending our time and research and our university resources and time on stuff like that. If they are trying to create weapons or whatever, I guess what can you do? But for fun or for research, yeah, let's try to find cures for diseases. Yeah, I mean, we still haven't found a cure for the so-called cancer disease. We still haven't found proper cures. Actually, as far as I know, 99% of modern diseases, they don't have any cure at all. So what about all the medicines that are being sold for 100% of the diseases that we have? They are medicines for the symptoms. I know this for a fact, and I encourage you to also not take my word for it. You go out there and do your research. Do your research, and you'll find that 100%, or not 100%, like 99% of the medicines out there, whether prescribed or off the shelf, they are all treating, those 99%, they are all treating symptoms. They are alleviating symptoms, not actually tackling root causes of diseases. So, you know, our diseases are usually symptoms of some sort of problem in our body, and the problem is just manifesting in this specific part of the body or whatever. So they give you a painkiller, they give you a medicine that will alleviate the symptom, that will make this symptom go away, but the cause of the symptom is still there, and that's what modern medicine never touches. And let's face it, there is no profit in curing people. There is profit, though, in keeping you sick and selling you medicine that covers up your symptoms to make you think that the disease is gone, but the disease is always there until the body heals itself, as people say. You know, I, as a believer, I say that God is the one who heals me, but I don't want to, force this concept on anyone. Let's just say, like lots of people say, oh, the body heals itself. Well, okay, the body heals itself. I mean, maybe the body does heal itself, but who designed the body to do that? From my perspective, I believe a deity, an intelligent creator did this. But let's set this, concept aside. The main point here is that the body supposedly heals itself. But one thing is for sure, so, we're not sure, maybe we can argue about this. Does the body heal itself, or does an intelligent creator heal the body? Okay, we can argue about that later. But one thing is for sure, one thing is a fact, that is that we shouldn't be arguing about, and that fact is that no modern medicine treats or heals. No modern medicine cures causes or disease causes or heals. All modern 99% of modern medicine, I mean, it's just a very tiny percentage actually, tackles root causes, which is roughly something like 1%, and like one medicine in 99 in 100. But 99 medicines in 100 basically tackle only symptoms, not root causes, not actual causes of disease, or not the real root of a disease. It's untouched by 99% of modern medicine. So back to my point. So let's actually, spend our money, spend our time and money on something like that, not on this absurdity, man. Really, I mean, researchers are using taxpayer funds to do this bullshit, and we have so many other things to spend our time on. From my perspective, I'm just not happy about that, and as you can see in my voice and the passion, it makes me angry in a way. We have so many problems in the modern world that are just being ignored while we're chasing pipe dreams like this. I don't know what petition. Eliminated. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, let's sign the petition. Petition highlights recent signatures. Well, I can't really sign it apparently, but yeah, I would sign it. I would say, stop this bullshit, please, and spend the taxes on something more useful.
And I thought I was into Halloween. Dana is not messing around here.
And back to the game.
I can't keep my eyes open, but I know there's a scientific answer.
Yeah, time is like a river. That's even before anyone started talking about string theory and M theory and the other dimensions and the Big Bang and all that, Einstein had an idea. The river always flows in one direction. It doesn't. It's just, you cannot reverse it. And everyone knows swimming against the river what it is like. So he had it's not super accurate, but he kind of had a good feeling about what time is. And another thing I could add to this is that when we say time is like an arrow or like a river, I believe that we are talking about our experience of time, because time is relative. There is the relativity of time, of course. So when we say time is like a river or like an arrow or the arrow of time and all these things, I do believe that scientists should be thinking about this whole thing that from a perspective that we are not talking about time itself. It's not time itself that is moving. It's not time itself that is moving. It's us. It's our experience of time. It's our experience of time that is moving in one direction, and that is a completely different, obviously, way of thinking about it. It's not such a subtle difference. It's actually a significant difference. Is time itself that is moving like an arrow, or is our experience of time that is moving like an arrow in one direction and can never be reversed? Because even with the relativity of time, even with the examples that I mentioned to you, that one guy grows 1 year older in the spaceship, while another, like his brother on Earth, grows 10 years older. There is one similarity here. So, their experiences of time have differed, but they do share one common or their experiences have one very important common factor. And what is that common factor? It's that both of them were moving forward. Both of them were growing older. Neither of them grew younger. Neither of them went back into time. Both of them were moving forward, growing older, and moving forward into time. It's just that their speeds of movement, a long time, were different, and that's that relativity of time. But I don't think. I mean, and that makes sense. That makes scientific sense when you think about it. Time shouldn't be moving differently according to you or me. It's absurd, isn't it, when you think about it? Can time move 10 times faster for the guy? Let's call the guy in the spaceship John, and let's call his brother. The guy on the spaceship is 20 years old, and his brother on Earth is Tom, and Tom is 15 years old. Yeah. So can we say that Tom on Earth, the time for Tom was moving 10 times faster than how it was moving for John? It's a bit absurd, isn't it, that time moves, time picks on one person, moves faster for this guy, moves slowly for this guy, and moves a little bit medium speed for this other girl. It's funny and it's absurd to think about time this way, that time is moving. It's moving in different speeds according to each person's whatever, but each person's speed with moving in space, or it's even each person's mood. So according to the mood, time is going to move at a certain speed for you. It's absurd. It's really unrealistic and unscientific to think that way, that a dimension like time is going to move differently based on an individual. It's very absurd. Or even if it's based on the speed of that person. But what's more realistic, what's more scientific, more logical to think, is that our experience of time is the one that is relative. And so if we're moving within space at a certain speed, then we could be experiencing time or moving along that that dimension of time at a different speed too. So just like our speed within space is changing at a certain level, then our speed along the dimension of time changes. But time itself, I believe, is a constant. Just like we have some universal constants in the universe. And I know that some new scientists are saying that that constants are changing subtly or in a small degree. That's still up in the air. I'm inclined to say no, constants are constants. It's just that our measurement of them can differ. So I do believe that one of the constants in the universe is time. That can be controversial, but I do think that it does make more sense that that something like a dimension doesn't care, doesn't care about you or me. It doesn't change itself for you or me. What changes is our experience of it, is our speed of moving along it. So that's kind of calling time a river reminded me of all this, because because of swimming up the stream rather than swimming with the river. We all know swimming against the stream what it is like. That's also kind of absurd to think that this means that time has a fragile foundation. No, not really. Maybe space, our three-dimensional space, maybe. I don't even think that space has a fragile foundation. It's just that space is malleable. We can break rocks, we can break metal even with enough laser focus or whatever. We can melt metal, we can bend metal, we can break rocks, and so on. So the three-dimensional space is fragile, but time is, no man, time itself is not fragile, let alone its foundation. I mean, when you think about it, the foundation of the three-dimensional space is very, very, very strong. We are talking about atoms, basically, and we all know how strong the atom is. We all know how much energy is needed to break the atom, and we also know what happens when you break the atom. The atomic bomb, anyone? So yeah, if you break the atom, this is serious business. Breaking the atom is very, very serious business. We are talking about the atomic bomb here. So the foundation of the three-dimensional space is extremely strong, and it's extremely difficult to break it, to break the foundation of our three-dimensional space. But the three-dimensional space itself it depends on what it is. As I said, rock, metal, wood, paper, a leaf. So yeah, it would depend. But I think in most cases, the three-dimensional space itself is malleable for us. At least with our current technology, we are able to break and bend at least the three-dimensional space. On the other hand, but as I said, the foundation itself is strong. But on the other hand, time, is not malleable. At least not with our current technology. We're not able to bend it. We are not able to break it. We are not able to penetrate it. We are not able to control it at all. We are not able to change our direction in it. But compare this with space. In space, as I said, we can move within space. We can move up or down, right or left. And we can, as I said, we can also break the three-dimensional space. We can break wood. We can break even metal, as I said. We can break rocks, and so on. Compare all this with time. We cannot bend it. It's not malleable for us. We cannot move within it. We cannot choose. We cannot move. We cannot choose our direction in it. You see what I mean? Compare time and space. Space we can move. Time we cannot move. We cannot choose where we move. But in space we can choose where to move. Space we can bend it. Time we cannot. We cannot bend it. In space we can break some three-dimensional space like rocks. Time we cannot break it. Now, three-dimensional space is on a certain foundation, which is, let's say the atomic structure and the atoms, and it's extremely, extremely strong, and breaking it creates like mass destruction on insane levels. On the other hand, time. Now imagine the foundation of time. So if we can break three-dimensional space, if we can break space, if we can bend space, if we can change our direction in space, but when it comes to the foundational structure of space, we need insane amounts of energy to do anything. Now on the other hand, imagine time. If we cannot bend it, we